what's up? It's Aaron. Let me make this a little bigger. Hey, so this is a training on how to convert a WebinarJam live webinar into an Evergreen Everwebinar. My name is Aaron LeBauer, and if you're watching this on social media somewhere, this is exactly what you're going to learn, is how we take our live webinars and turn them into Evergreen webinars. We've made actually got more patients, more money, more clients through Evergreen webinars than we do live. Live convert really well. If you're watching this on YouTube somewhere, be sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell, or maybe it's the like button here, subscribe, and the little notification, so you get access to more of those videos. If you're on my team, because primarily I'm making this for a team training, is this how we're going to take an Evergreen, a live webinar, and turn it to an Evergreen webinar inside WebinarJam. So let's get back to it. We're going to log into WebinarJam. So if you don't have WebinarJam and you're watching this, there should be a link below to get a good deal on WebinarJam through our affiliate link. If you're on my team and you need access, send me a message. We'll make sure we get access through LastPass. So log in. We're going to go in. We've got two options. These are live webinars. These are Evergreen webinars. We can go straight to Everwebinar. These are the Evergreen webinars that we have. We want to add a webinar. And what it does is Everwebinar can create a webinar from a previous live webinar. So this is the webinar that we're going to, this was the live one. We're going to make this Evergreen. If you haven't done one live through WebinarJam, you can still create a new Everwebinar, but I recommend doing it live through WebinarJam first. Prove that it works, and then put it on Evergreen. So here's how we're going to do that. We are going to add a webinar. And I'm going to use a previous WebinarJam live session. I'm going to go here and choose it. The telehealth, no, it's not that one. It's at the bottom. The LeBauer PT back pain webinar. Select the session, and then go up and confirm. And what it's going to do is it's going to load in all of the registration details, registration page, all the comments, and all the things. The only thing it doesn't load in are some of the well, it does in integrations. We have to update some of the integrations, but I'll show you that in a second. Confirm. There's a couple things it doesn't load in, but it loads in 90% of it. So now basic settings. Okay, so the webinar name isn't back pain TBD webinar. I'm going to just call this like, this is private. This is for us, Everwebinar. That's the August one. Here's the webinar title. This is public facing. This is public facing. Don't list your webinar. Like, this is on the WebinarJam's thing. I don't ever list it because it doesn't ever get any traffic. I mean, this is one that we could list for other people because it's about back pain. So self-help, personal development, finance, money. I mean, I rarely do these, and it's really not that important. Health and beauty. So just put don't list. And we have to click confirm after each change. Webinar presenters, just make sure it's Dr. Aaron LeBauer. So that's fine. Next, schedules, not configured. So we have to create a schedule for this webinar. So what I'm going to do is, I did this on a Tuesday at 6 p.m. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this just available every day at 6 p.m. Actually, let's just call this every day at 6 p.m. Add. And then enable instant watch or late attendance. We're not going to do that, or just in time. So this means they can see, hey, watch the replay now. And this is enable just in time. So the enable just in time is great because people always feel like it's live. More people attend the replays than the lives, but more people will convert from a live session. So next available session every 15 minutes. Hide nighttime schedules is on. So if someone's browsing late at night, like, why would I be live late at night? So I would make this like 10 p.m. To 7 a.m. So anytime between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. it'll feel like, hey, the next webinar is coming up. Display the next 3 immediate ones. So it'll be like, so what this will show is it'll show just in time webinar starting in 15 minutes. It'll show tonight at 6 and then tomorrow at 6. You can block days, you can block holidays. I don't know why they have it on here, but I always block July 4th because that's that is a national holiday in the United States. For some reason, you got to go forward to July. But it won't let me, somehow it won't let me do it. July, why won't it let me add July 4th? August, July 4th. Maybe you have to go backwards. And you can block any day there. We have to, in order to go forward, I have to click confirm. And then we go to registration page design. Really not going to change anything about these. You can see this is what it is. It worked really well. I'm not going to change anything. Just make sure that this doesn't say live, so I can search to make sure like this doesn't say live on it, and it doesn't. So there's nothing I'm going to change here. I'm just going to cancel and edit, exit, confirm, registration form design. We don't have to change that. We don't have to change these fields. Free to register, password. We don't have to change anything here. We just have to kind of click through it. Notifications. Okay, this is where you can choose Everwebinar notification or your own autoresponder gateway. Like for right now, for the clinic stuff, it's Everwebinar. If you're watching this and you're on my team and you are reproducing a like doing an Evergreen webinar from a consulting business webinar, we would choose this one. It's set up to send from Aaron at LeBauer Consulting, but right now through the clinic, I don't want clinic people getting Aaron at LeBauer Consulting messages, so we're just going to keep it in the Everwebinar mail because it'll still show it's from me, but it just comes from a different server, not our own. But if it is like a Cash PT Blueprint webinar, new patients or profits webinar, and we're making it Evergreen, choose the your own SMTP gateway. But for the clinic ones, we'll just continue to choose Everwebinar mail unless I figure out that we can do 2 different ones. Reminder notifications. These are, you see how it'll still be sent from Dr. Aaron LeBauer at Webinar Info. If I chose my own, it's from LeBauer Consulting, but that's why I don't want my clinic people to see LeBauer Consulting. They should see LeBauer PT, but I think we can only have one of these here, and we run more people through, not through the clinic, but through, through the consulting. So we'll just leave that. All these things, we don't really need to change them at all. This is what goes out to people. Because I set it up on the live, it's all pretty much set. It's like there's nothing that we have to change here unless we want to change anything, but we don't, which is kind of cool. It's going to be really quick integrations. This is something that we do need to update. So with ActiveCampaign or PT Email Engine, you see how it's like webinar live, misscheduled. So there's Everwebinar tags. So I will open up another. Let me open up another page here. Okay, so you just open up our ActiveCampaign or PT Email Engine account, and we're gonna run through, and I'm gonna find the automation. I'll show you guys how to know exactly which tags, but you don't have to actually open this up. I'll show you the tags. Their tags are already in, but I just want to show like why. And let's see, you can see we've got LeBauer PT, Everwebinar, LeBauer PT, webinar follow-up. There's a webinar welcome. So you can see that I have these triggered using this LeBauer PT Everwebinar tag. So what we have to do here in ActiveCampaign then is you don't have to open up PT Email Engine or ActiveCampaign at all. We just have to integrate with it. So if they register, we need to go over here and click Add Tag, and it needs to be, unfortunately we can't search, we have to scroll down, but it needs to be LeBauer PT Everwebinar and create integration rule. So I have to replace each of these. So you'll see, like, if it's in the consulting business, it should be very similar where it says launch webinar live. The alternate tag would be launch Everwebinar live. So we just have to update these. So you may have to go into our PT Email Engine account to just verify the correct tags. This is the most complicated part here. So I've recreated this one. I'm going to recreate this one. If they attended the live webinar, add a tag. I'm going to go down to LeBauer PT Everwebinar. I'm going to do this for each one. LeBauer PT Everwebinar live. Okay, Everwebinar, create the integration rule. LeBauer PT missed. So it's add tag. LeBauer PT Everwebinar missed. LeBauer PT Everwebinar missed. Create integration rule. And the next one, LeBauer PT. Well, this is the next one in this is Everwebinar replay. So LeBauer PT Everwebinar replay. So what these do is these trigger different emails in the back end of our system. LeBauer PT Everwebinar replay missed live. LeBauer PT webinar scheduled when they purchased our product. So this is something that'll trigger just to know that they've actually for this one they've either purchased a product or they got on a call. So I need to add if they purchase your product. And tag, we're going to go down here, LeBauer PT Everwebinar, and I maybe don't have that as a tag, so I'll show you how we're going to fix that. So it's I can kind of copy and paste this one, LeBauer PT copy. I gotta go over into PT Email Engine or ActiveCampaign. Go to Contacts, click on Manage Tags, and then I can paste this in, but I don't want webinar, I want it to say Everwebinar scheduled. Add tags. And really this is just a tracking one for me, and it doesn't always, this part doesn't always work. Why does it seem like that's not working either? Here we go. Let's see. I think it's just a delay here. Okay, just internet stopped being delayed. I'm just going to copy this, paste it here, type in scheduled, add tags. Now that just did what it's supposed to do. So now I can go back to WebinarJam, and it's not going to be here right away. It won't be here if I have to go add a tag. LeBauer PT Everwebinar, it's not there. So what I have to do is I have to click on OK. I have to click confirm, and then I have to open it back up again. Click on edit, and then I can go to if they purchased, add tag, and then we'll scroll down. LeBauer PT Everwebinar. It's still not there yet. See, there's the webinar, the Everwebinar, so I have to click OK, confirm, and we can just refresh the page. It may just need to, it needs to refresh the integration. So I'll go back in here. Oops, that one's confirmed. I need to go to next. Next. Oh, because I hadn't done the whole thing. There we go. Now I'm in integrations. click back on edit. See, I still got some of these Everwebinar ones, and I'm going to they purchased, add tag. Now you see how it refreshed everything. LeBauer PT, Everwebinar scheduled, create integration rule. So I've got scheduled, I need the left early. I think I need the Everwebinar. We got live miss scheduled, left early replay. So there's a left early. So if they leave before, and we're gonna choose like 1 hour and 0 minutes. Generally, when we start pitching about 45 minutes in, so we could even say if they left before 45 minutes, we're going to add the tag LeBauer PT Everwebinar left early. Everwebinar launch automation. Oh, and I don't have it either. So watch, we're going to go back over here. And then we're just going to do this, copy, paste, left, early, add tags. All right, there we go. So we just have to go in here, click OK, confirm, and then I got to go back in and see if I can get this to, if they leave before, 0, 0, 45, add tag. I don't think it's going to do it. I think we have to go back out again. Yep. Confirm. And then let me just refresh again. Okay. So we're going to go here, here. We're going to go there. And we go back to integrations. And now we can go in here and say if they leave before 0, 45. Let's add this tag. There, it refreshed, and now we go to LeBauer PT Everwebinar left early and create the integration rule. Okay, now we've got it. So now we have to delete these regular webinar ones. So we have to say delete webinar live, Everwebinar live. So we can delete that one. Webinar missed, Everwebinar. I don't have an oh, there it is, Everwebinar missed. So I'm going to delete that one. Webinar scheduled, Everwebinar scheduled. About to do webinar left early, Everwebinar left early. Delete webinar replay, Everwebinar replay. So I'm going to delete the webinar ones. Now I'm left with these integrations. I'm going to click OK and confirm. And then that's it. And sometimes there's some third-party tracking, which might be Google Analytics, Facebook ad tracking, etc. We don't have it set up for this one. But if there is, we just need to, that should copy over. If it doesn't, you can go back to the WebinarJam version of this and copy and paste that over. And then we go to thank you, which is a built-in template. For a lot of ours, there'll be a custom page, and it should just pull the custom page right over a ClickFunnels page. Survey your registrants, so that's enabled. So you just leave that. The thank you page template, like there's really nothing to change on these because it's all customized like through code here. It's just this isn't editable because it'll just pre-fill in what they're doing. So you just make sure there's nothing on here that says live, and there's not. Live. There's nothing on here that says live, so it doesn't really matter. So cancel and exit. And then here's the live, the simulated live information. So there's a couple things that we do want to update. We don't need to update the countdown page, webinar room, the polls and quizzes. So sometimes, how often are you exercising right now? These are fine. They will, sometimes if I have a highlighted announcements or that will be up for the whole time. I think I have in the live chat box. It pulls in everyone's chat questions. But sometimes there are, I think the sticky messages. So this is a sticky message I put on at the beginning Sometimes I'll forget to turn this off and it'll stay on for like an hour. But it's like, hi, welcome to the workshop. So if we wanted to change it and just have that for the first 10 minutes instead of 16, what we do is we highlight this, copy, we paste it in there, and we do start time. You just leave it at 0, end time. You know, it doesn't need to be 16 minutes. We could just put, 12 minutes and then 24 seconds. And then we can add it. And then we have to go and delete this one. 16 minutes wasn't too long, but sometimes I'll forget and it'll be up there for the whole hour. So we just need to double check that one. Display number of attendees. We want to choose dynamic attendees, and we can put max at like 55 people. Confirm. Depending on how many people join the webinar, I would basically just set it at the number that's a little bit higher than the people that registered for the webinar. Variable attendees, live sales notifications. Sometimes there'll be live sales notifications that'll pull through. Sometimes they're not. That's not something, if it doesn't pull them through, no big deal. It's because the tracking is really difficult to get it to work all the time because people's phones and all that stuff, it doesn't really track purchases or schedules from phones. I don't have any file handouts on this one. Redirects, sometimes there'll be 2 of them in here, but just redirects people at the very end. And highlight announcements. This is good. You could look through the chat and sometimes just make sure there's nothing in here that like is inappropriate or that people are saying, hey, I can't blah, blah, blah. Like, this is terrible. You know, you should never say that. And it happens more in the consulting stuff. And we can delete those if they don't look right, but there's nothing in here that's inappropriate or anything like that. It's live sales notifications. We click next. Webinar replay recording enabled. No expiration date. If there is an expiration date that I set, that'll come forward. Allow users to submit questions. So the questions, we need to make sure this goes to the correct email. I don't want to come to my personal email, and the reason that's in there is because that has that's how I signed up, and so that's the email that they put in here. So this should be Aaron at LeBauerPT.com. If it's a consulting webinar, we're going to put Aaron at LeBauer Consulting right there. And then we're going to put confirm. Allow users to submit questions. Webinar replay recording. Let's see. Simulated. Let me go back here. Countdown page. Live chat box. Sticky messages. Allow users submit questions. The chat box will be disabled, so replay visitors will not be able to submit their questions. Let's do disable questions. We're going to do disable questions. And then we're going to finish. And then it's ready. And now what we have to do, there's 2 other things to do, is these are advanced. So that's the basic version. The advanced version, there's 2 things to do here. Number 1 is to take this code and put this on the thank you page for after people schedule or buy. So this code goes on the thank you page and we have to enter in like a price. If it's a call, I generally enter in a 1, but a lot of times that tracking doesn't really work. So it doesn't work reliably. As many times as I've done it, I can't get to work reliably, but it does work. It's just not all the time. And I think a big part of it is because people are doing it from their phones these days and it won't fire the same code. So that's one advanced step, and that's where you just copy this and you go paste it. And we have to put it in the body tag. So depending on where the thank you page is or the next page after they buy or schedule, then this code needs to be placed in the body tags on that page. The other advanced thing to do would be to make it feel like it's even more simulated and live. What we can do, remember here, the source video was a previous WebinarJam session. I can download this video and host it on Amazon S3 and put the link to the external file here. But because I imported a previous WebinarJam session, it imported all the settings. And then when I'm done, I can go back in and I can put a link to the, I'm just going to cancel that. I can go put a link to the video, and you can host it in a couple different places, but Amazon S3, and we have an Amazon S3 account. For instance, I believe, I'm not sure if we're doing it on this webinar or not. I think so. Let's see. Yep. So here it is. So it's just hosted, and the difference is it makes it so you can't pause the video on the replay, or at least it used to. But you can use here. You can do MP4. Now you can do YouTube videos in Vimeo Pro. I'm using MP4 hosted somewhere else because I don't want it to show up as a YouTube video or Vimeo Pro. So that's why we're doing it on Amazon S3. So the way to do that is we got to go over to WebinarJam. We go to the prior webinar. We go to Your Links, and I'm going to go to Replay. I'm going to choose the session, and then here's my download button. This is the replay page, but this is the download replay video, and I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to say LeBauer Physical Therapy. I'm going to actually name it something I want people to see, and so I'm going to say fix your back pain in 3 easy steps. LeBauer Physical Therapy online workshop, and then I just save it. And while that's saving, I'm going to open another browser window, and I'm going to go to Amazon S3. Now, if you're working for me, you may need me to do this part because I don't know how to share, or I haven't set up access to this for other people in our organization quite yet. But you go to sign into console. I'm sure there's a way to do that, and I can figure it out. And it's probably the difference between these two things. So I'm a root user, and this is probably, we just have to set you up as this. And then we're going to type in the character seen on the image below. Gosh, I can't tell what that is. RFSWDH, something like that. Password. And that didn't like it. My password's incorrect. Maybe it just auto-filled the wrong password. There we go. Okay, now I need to go in. So Amazon S3 has a lot of services. Okay, we need to launch a virtual. I don't need to do any of these things. Recently visited all services. Here it is. I need to go to storage, S3 storage. There's so many things to do in here. And then we're going to go to Healthy GS Everwebinars LeBauer. So we'll choose this one, Everwebinars LeBauer. If you're doing, these are other backup folders, LeBauer Consulting, Everwebinars, you know. Yep, Everwebinars. We'll click that. And I'm going to upload my video. And I have to add the file. I'm going to go to desktop. Here it is. Click open. All right. And then I have to set up my permissions. It needs to be granted public access. Even though it's a thing, it's like people need to be able to, public needs to be able to see this. Otherwise it won't work. This is the storage class. Nothing needs to change there. Permissions. Let's see. Yep. And then click upload. And it's going to upload. Upload status. So I'm going to pause this video until it uploads. All right, there we go. File uploaded. Okay, so now what we do is I click down here. All right, here is the URL. So I have to copy this URL. So I'm going to right click, copy. I want to open it, let's say open a new incognito window and just make sure that it works. And there it's playing. Okay, so that's all I need to do. I can close that and I can go back to WebinarJam, go into Everwebinar, go back to edit, source video, external video. I'm going to paste in my URL. But the other thing I have to do is I have to know exactly how long this video is. So it's 109:28. So I need to come in here, pause that. I need to come in here and put it in as 1 hour, 09 minutes, 28 seconds, because that way WebinarJam will know exactly how long to play this video. And I confirm. And now I can go, all right, it's 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 28 seconds. Remember when we added that tag that was like if they left early before the offer? So that's where I might need to come back in and update, if they left early. So 45 minutes for this one's fine. I have for a couple of webinars, especially the ones I do often, I'll have an email goes out to people. If they leave early, say, hey, what happened? Here's a link to get back into the webinar. And that's where that's important. But we don't need to change that now. And now the Everwebinar is set. The next thing we have to do is take the registration link, copy it, and update our pretty links. So I believe in LeBauerPTblog.com, I think we have a webinar pretty link in for consulting. For LeBauer Consulting, we have a some pretty links, and we just need to update the pretty links. So I believe, let's see if this one, we have a webinar pretty link here. And it's waiting, a little waiting. Okay, let's see. Free workshop for social media, mobility for strength, LeBauer PT, free online workshop. I believe this is it. So pain relief workshop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this and paste and just verify. Yep, this is going to the old one. See, that's expired, or that was the live one that we did. So I need to go back to WebinarJam. I'm going to take this guy, copy it, and go back in here as this free online workshop, and I'm going to do edit, and then I'm going to paste and update. And then double check, and it may be that you just come up here and you just put in webinar. So in the consulting there'll be one or two. It's the free webinar or launch webinar here, webinar, free online workshop, free pain workshop. So we just need to, for social media promo, so I just had two different links. I need to update that, and boom. Now they're updated, and now it's an Evergreen webinar, and it should update any of the links in our automations to get people into the webinar, because we use these pretty links in there. And then that's all that we need to do to convert a WebinarJam live webinar into an Evergreen Everwebinar. You will want to make sure that you have an email automation account where you can send people automatically into a launch sequence. So you can see here we have an Everwebinar launch sequence. And I may or may not have activated this, but I'll show you that we've got, this is using PT Email Engine. And this link in here for people to reserve their spot, this should be one of our Evergreen links, but it's not. So this one, what I would do is I come back over, close that. I'm going to say webinar, free online workshop. So I'm going to copy this, and it's likely that I was putting this together and never really, I don't think there's anyone in here. I never activated this and started putting people through here, but this is where those pretty links come in handy, because I don't have to update every email each time. I just have to update the pretty links. So I think I didn't have this updated because we weren't really using it. These were some messages specific to the pandemic, and but that's how we do it. And so those, if you use a pretty link or a redirect in your email automations, you won't have to use it in, you won't have to update all your email links. So these all need to be updated. And maybe people have moved through this because whatever, but you can see people aren't actively in this one. They are actively in, let's show you. Here's a launch sequence. Blueprint Everwebinar launch sequence. This one will have a bunch of people. It's got 5,000 people in the automation because this is one of the ones I'm currently running through the coaching business. And everyone's at the end. So, this is one I used to run through, and we're not actually running them through this now, but there's someone right there. It's very similar. I'd have to go back and look. We've got so many of them that I don't know them all, but that's really what we have to do is we don't have to update the links in all the emails. We can just update them through our pretty links over in WordPress, and that should update everything over on the email side. And that's pretty much how you do it. And so now these links are ready for us to promote on social media, through email. Hey, go here and watch the training. Oh yeah, I knew there'd be one or two things that I forgot to do. So here's what I do want to do. And I have to go back and figure out who it is that registered or paid. But when we do these Evergreen webinars, I do want to, I'm not going to do this for the LeBauer PT webinar because this is one of those ones where it's for the clinic and I don't want everyone to know, hey, so-and-so just registered for the thing. But for like the Blueprint and some of the other programs, we will take everyone that registered on the webinar and add them as like a live sales notification. So there's none here. I don't really want that for the clinic webinars, but let's just show you for the Blueprint one. What we've done is for anyone that wasn't tracked, we set up the live sales notifications. And so you just put in the minute or approximate minute or time, and you can find that through email, or we just kind of start putting them in there in like decently spaced based on when their notifications came in. And you put in the hour, the time, etc., and you put in it'll say Josh just enrolled in the Cash PT Blueprint, and it'll put up these notifications. And so for the clinic, we're not going to do that because of privacy, but for coaching business, you can come in and put these, you just add these in. I just got to make sure it lines up with a time in the webinar after we make the offer. And sometimes they don't get pulled through from the live. Sometimes, like I said, the tracking links don't work, but it's really cool once you get into an Evergreen webinar to give the people these notifications that people have enrolled in your program. It's like social proof that it's happened. As a webinar presenter, I'll be calling it out, but that's just one other ninja trick that Everwebinar allows you to do. So, by the way, if you've got this far and you're watching this and you're not on my team and you want to get an Everwebinar or WebinarJam account, there's a link below that should give you a discount or a 2-week free trial to Everwebinar and WebinarJam. If you're trying to figure out how do I set up and send out all these follow-up emails, I'd be happy to give you, 28 or 30 something emails, a webinar welcome sequence and a webinar follow-up sequence, so that you can plug in and integrate with your WebinarJam into the PT email engine. And PT email engine runs on the ActiveCampaign platform. And so by doing that, we can integrate them both. And so if you're interested in getting all the emails written for you and knowing exactly what to say, it's ptemailengine.com. Just go to the link below. What we'll do is we'll set up an account for you and waive the $500 setup fee, write all your emails, and hand over an account that's ready to go so that you can integrate it directly with WebinarJam and sell more products and services and help thousands of more people doing online webinars and sending up follow-up messages. So this is Aaron LeBauer. Be sure you click subscribe, hit like, the notification bell, and Let me know what was most helpful for you about this in the comments below. I'll see you on the next video.